Welcome back to another Procreate tutorial. This will be part 2 of Mahakala. If you have not watched the first part, I recommend you going back and watching that video. It's quite a long video, so you might have to break it up into different parts. But today, we're going to be starting with our sketch here that we did last video, and we're going to be putting in the coloring and the shading and stuff like that. So let's get started without any further ado. I have provided you with all the things. If you've watched the first video, you'll know what the link is, but I'll put it again in the description below where you can go download the color palette, the brushes I use, and the sketches, and so on and so on. It is a free download on Gumroad, but you're also available to tip $1 or $2 if you think these videos are beneficial to you and you want to support the channel. So let's get started. We're going to drop in the color. So what we're going to do is we're going to set our sketch layer, click on it, and set it to reference. And then we're going to create a new layer by clicking on the plus, and we're going to put that layer under our sketch. Now, to make sure that I don't make a mistake and color in on the sketch, I'm going to go ahead and lock it. If you slide it to the left, and you can click lock, and now there's no way that I'll be able to draw on it. It'll tell me that it's locked. So that way I won't do anything that I shouldn't be doing. Now, another thing I want to tell you is each piece of this drawing, I want you to put it on a separate layer, because when we go in to shade it and stuff like that, it's going to make it a lot easier on us. So let's do that. So let's get started. Maybe I'll just start from the bottom here. We're going to do our red. So let me find the palette that I made for it. The Oni, which means demon in Japanese. That's what I named it. So we're going to do the red right here. And we're just going to start dropping it in. The tongue is going to be red. So we're going to drop that in just like that. Around the tooth here is going to be red. And it's got a bunch of little separate pieces right here, which if we drag and drop each one, that's going to take a lot of time. So what you can do is you can drop one in and you can hit continue filling right here. And then all you got to do is tap on the area that you want to fill in. So we're going to do all this right here, and maybe that right there too. Okay, and over here, same thing around this tooth. I'm going to tap that in right here. The lip is going to be red also, so we can go ahead and fill that one in. Just keep on tapping. And right there, right here, and then all those little pieces here in the middle too. So sometimes I will accidentally tap on a line or something, so you can just double finger click on it and you can undo that. So you want to zoom in so you can get it, and then you can also just go ahead and paint it in too if you want to do that way. Sometimes you just don't want to click in there, but that resets the drop in, so you'll have to drop the next one, and then you can go ahead and continue filling it like that. Okay, let's do these and these three. You're just gonna get all this basic coloring done. Okay, so that's the lips, the tongue, and around the teeth. See if there's any more red. I guess I'm going to go ahead and start off, well, I think the eyes were maybe I think this darker red down here on the bottom. So we'll go ahead and do that right now. We'll drop this into the eyes. Oh, the color drop's still on. You might have to click on it, turn it off. So do that and that one and this one. And I think this piece right here too. All right, that's good. I don't see any more red pieces, so we can go ahead and switch colors now. And what I'm going to do is just create a new layer, and we'll do the next color now. So I want to do maybe the blue next. So just the top blue right there. And the face, basically all of it's going to be blue. So just start clicking it in. Okay, around the eyes is going to be a purplish color, so I'm going to leave that blank for right now. But all of this is going to be blue, and these little pieces here too. Oops, I clicked on the line again, so you can undo that. I did it again. Here we go. Okay, this around that eye is going to be kind of a purplish color, and then this up here is going to be blue, and that right there, and the eye right there, and then up here, and I think that is all the blue. Okay, so let's start doing the teeth and stuff. So that's going to be this light beige, so under the darker beige here, so right there. I'm going to start dropping this into the teeth. Oops, I still got the color drop on again. Click on the little check right there and turn it off. We can start a new color here. Oops, before I do that, new layer. Okay, and then we're going to start doing this teeth and stuff. So again, continue filling. We'll start clicking all this in. You might need to zoom in so you can make it easier on yourself. Oops, see, I clicked on the line. You can see all the lines now are that beige color, so I want to undo that. Okay. I think this also is going to be a beige color. And then this right here, and that right there. This one will be a blue, so I'll go back and do that blue later on. This is going to be the beige color. All right, and these eyebrows. Missed a blue right there too, so we'll do that when we turn back on the blue again. And all of these skeletons here. Also going to be this beige color. Okay, I think that's good. So I'm going to go ahead and, oops, didn't want to do that. Let me undo that one. Click on the color drop. Now I'm going to go back to the blue layer because we missed some blue parts. And you can hold your finger down on it until a little color picker comes on and it'll pick that same blue color. Just a little hint to do something quicker. So again, let's drop that in right there. And then there was a piece up here right there. Color that in blue. All right, that's got that. Okay, around the eyes. So we're going to, new layer. We're going to do that, this darker purple color right here. See what that looks like. Yeah, that's good. Okay, and then continue filling again. I think I didn't touch it. Okay, I missed it before it went away. Okay, that's good. Around here, I'm going to go ahead and do the brush for this one. And that's just too tiny of a space. I try to drop something in there. Okay. Yeah, I think I'm going to brush these too. Got a lot of little white spots here. I'll fill in. Okay, that looks good. I think there was some more purples. Where was that at? No, I guess I got them all. All right. So the next thing we're going to do is these little bead-like things. They're going to be a yellow color. So we're going to do them this yellow right here next to the purple that we were just using. Okay, we're going to drag one in, and then we'll just color fill all the rest of them. Okay. And over here. Good. And right here. All right, eyes. Eyeballs are going to be also blue. Look, see, I didn't do that. It was on a separate layer, but they're spread out enough, so it should be okay. We try to shade it. It should be fine. I'm going to create a new layer. And the inside of the eyes, we're just going to color pick this blue again. That's going to be blue also. And we'll just color drop these other two. Okay. All right, and those our base colors are done. Okay, so let's start in on the shading next. Okay, so what we're going to do is, well, let's start shading on the red first. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new layer on top of it. And then I'm going to set this layer to a clipping mask. So what that does is it only allows us to paint on the spaces that already have red on it. All right, and then what we're going to do is we're going to start getting some shadows up here for the top of the tongue. And we're just going to do those in black right now. And I did not give you guys a airbrush, which I'm going to be using to do this, because it is provided to you with your Procreate program. So just go to the airbrush section, which I've got mine right here, and just click on the soft brush right here. That's the brush we're going to use. Okay, what I want to do is set my brush to be about 6 or 7%, and I want to take the opacity down to about 28. All right, and then the tops of this tongue is going to kind of be a gradient. It's going to be dark, and it's going to get lighter as it goes towards the bottom here. So let's start dropping in some darker color on the top of the tongue. And you can kind of gradually do it where the top of the tongue is kind of dark, and we don't want that hard line right there. So I'm going to take that all the way in the shadow. Okay, and the tongue's going to kind of appear out of the shadows. So kind of like that. That's kind of what I want right there. All right. Next thing I want to do is go to my monoline brush, which I provided you guys. And we're going to create some kind of lines that are coming out over here. Just kind of some detail lines. Maybe, actually, you know what? I'm going to change it back to my inker so I can get that really thin line. Go up a little bit more on it. All right, so that's good, that one side. And then maybe right here, put some lines in like that. Maybe on this side. Okay, so you can just do whatever you want. Just kind of give it some texture to make it look a little bit cooler. So I think that's good for the tongue. All right, so for this red part around the tusk or tooth, I want it kind of purplish around the tusk right there on the edge. So what I'm going to do is, we're still on the red layer. I'm going to change the color to this darker purple right here. And we're going to use the same airbrush. All right, and we're going to kind of go, oh, that's too big. Let me make that smaller. Do about 4 or 3%. And then we're going to kind of purple this in right around this tusk. And then over here on this one too. Maybe down here a little bit, and then kind of like that. Okay, we might can put a little bit right up here too, and some right there. And coming in from the shadows. I like it. It looks good. Okay. All right, so next thing I want to do is just turn it back to black. We're going to darken in these edges. I'm going to make the brush a little bit bigger. So back up to 6%. We're just going to kind of get in the bottom of these just to give it a little bit more detail. And then we can take the brush down really small to about 2%, and we can get right next to this edge and darken that even more. That's good. All right, and then we can make it bigger again, so we can do this part like that. Okay, I think that's good. That's what I like. Okay, let's do the lip next. So this will be still on the red layer. We're going to darken in these edges right here, and maybe the bottom edge of the lip here too. So I'm going to leave it on the soft brush, and we're going to keep it on black. We're going to kind of darken these a little bit more on the edge. And then the bottom of this lip. So you can make your brush a little bit bigger if you want, because it's not going to paint on the teeth because that's on a different layer. So we're just going to kind of darken this edge of the bottom of the lip here. Okay, just kind of like that. That's perfect. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we're going to do the opposite. On the other side, we're going to lighten it up. So I want to use the red color, but I want to use a lighter red color. So you can color pick the red color by holding your finger down on it. And then you can go to where it says classic here. And then you can slide that white bar up to make it a little bit lighter. And if it's not light enough for you, you can start sliding the circle towards the white more up here. So we'll see what that looks like. And then what we're going to do the same thing we did on the bottom here by darkening that up. We're going to lighten the top edge up. And I think that's good. So there we go. We got that red part done. All right. So since we're still on the red here, let's go up for the eyes. Okay. What we're going to do is we're going to use this dark red for the outside. We're going to leave it like that for the outside. And what we're going to do is we're going to do an orange. So this light orange right here. We're going to keep it on the soft brush, and we're going to lighten up the center of this eye but keeping the edges of the eye dark. So let me make the brush a little bit bigger. Maybe too big. About 10% maybe. There we go. And that's about what I want, just like that. So you can see it kind of made it orangish in the middle, but those edges are still dark. So that's the effect we want. And same thing on these. Okay, that's good. And the same thing over here. And remember, we got the blue part on a different layer, so it won't paint that orange on it. Okay, and there's our eyes. We want to keep them just like that. All right. So I guess let's start doing the teeth down here. So the teeth, what we're going to do to them is, let me see, we got a darker beige. Go back to our palette again. So this darker one on top of the light one that we used to fill in the teeth. So we're going to do the same thing that we did on the other things, is we're going to darken these edges down here using the soft brush still. And we're going to change our layer again this time. So remember, the teeth were up here, the beige color, so create a new layer on top of it, and then click on it and set it to clipping mask. Okay, now we're able to paint. Now these are going to be near, so you're going to have to be careful where they cross here about what you want. All right, so let me see the brush. I might need to take it down a little bit. So I'm going to take it to 5%. I'm just going to darken in the bottoms of these teeth and then taking them up a little bit on the sides. And then here, this part's going to kind of be in shadow, so I'm going to darken that right there. So right next to the tooth, and then on the other side too, maybe a little bit, darken that up a little bit. Okay, that's good. Down here, same thing. Darken that up. And then maybe go up the sides of it a little bit. Okay, and this right here. Darken that up, maybe right there. That's good. Up here around where it's touching the gums, I'm going to darken that up. And maybe make the brush a little bit smaller. So it's going to kind of like letting the lip is kind of creating a shadow over the top of the teeth. That's why I'm doing that, just a straight line across. And down, maybe a little bit on the sides. So about like that, I think is good. I don't think the teeth need much more than that, actually. So we're going to give it a little bit of detail now. So I would say we're going to combine that shadow layer on top of the teeth. So now it's all one layer. We're going to create a new layer on top of it. We don't need to really clip it, I don't think. I'm going to change to a white. I'm going to change to my inker streamliner to get those really thin lines. And I'm just going to create some thin detail lines. Okay, one thing that I just realized I made a mistake on. I'm going to double tap it where it's going to separate those two layers again. I'm going to put those white lines under that shadow layer because I want the shadow on top of those white lines too. And I can leave that on clipping. It don't really matter. It's not going to affect anything. So again, we're going to go with the white color again and the standard inker here. Now when we do this white line, it's going to be under that shadow, which I want. Okay, that's good. So we're going to create a little white line there and then maybe continue it down here. Okay, and then we're going to do one here. Maybe break it up a little bit. Okay, here I'm doing thick to thin. I'm just doing one on each of the smaller teeth. Actually, I can do one right there. Okay, and then on this, I'm going to go right there, and we're going to continue it down here, and the same thing over here. So just a little texture is all we need. All right, and let me see. While I'm here on the tongue, I'm going to do this kind of a pinkish color under the darker purple. And let's go back to our red layer. We're going to do on top of the tongue and under the shadow. And we're going to do some details here too. So we're going to do kind of like that. Maybe have a branch coming off of it. A line right there. Something like that, maybe. That's good enough. Just a little something to break it up. Don't need much. Okay, another thing I'm going to do right here, we're going to probably have to go on top of the sketch. So remember, we locked that sketch, so we couldn't draw on top of it, but we can do a layer on top of the sketch, and now when we paint on it, it's going to go above the sketch. All right, and what I'm going to do is this dark purple, and maybe we'll leave it on the ink or streamliner. I'm going to take the opacity down because I don't want it to be really, really strong. Yeah, that's good. And what I want to do is just kind of create a little outline. That's going to follow along the teeth. Kind of like that. And then maybe we'll have something coming up like that. I just want to go not all the way up to the gums, but just kind of outlining the teeth a bit. Just like that. Then when we get over here, we're going to come down like we did on the other side. Just about like that. Maybe just do one here. That's good. Good enough. Okay, what can we work on now? Let's go ahead and start shadowing in the blue parts. I kind of like to work as I go up. So I'm going to do the blue, create a new layer on top of it. I'm going to clipping mask it. Okay, and here's where we're going to darken some of this blue up. So we're going to do this really dark blue here. So we got a blue, we got a lighter blue, and we got a darker blue. So click that darker one right there. I'm going to go to our soft brush again. All right, and we're just going to try to put in some dark spots. So maybe down here where it's kind of a lot of stuff happening, darken that in. On the edge of this yellow thing, we can darken that part in. Okay, the nose, this is all going to be pretty dark right here. Like that. And there's going to be a dark spot going across the middle of the nose. So about like that. Maybe right there. Okay, this part's going to be dark. Okay. Maybe around the nose. And then under the eyes. So you can see, what basically you're just kind of going dark around the edges of stuff. All right, maybe right there where those wrinkles are. Okay, I think that's good. All right, let's do up here. We're going to do a darker along the edge here. Same thing under the eye. Okay, and up there. Like that. Darken that part up there. around the eyeball. I think it's pretty good. I mean, I like the way we're going with this. That looks good so far. Maybe this blue down here. Just too bright right there. Okay, that's good. I like it. Okay, next, what can we do? Let's start shadowing in these kind of skull-looking things up here. So we're going to click on the darker. So again, let's go to the beige layer, and we've already done some of it with the teeth, so we can go back to that same layer and then click it on the darker beige, still on our soft brush, and we can start doing these skulls. So, and darken them in a little bit. And maybe I need to make the brush smaller. So let's just get these without the teeth for right now. Just tapping in some darker areas. All right, and around, I'm going to make the brush smaller to about 2%. We can get these nose holes. They're going to be quite dark. And I think over here. And maybe, yeah, I think that's good. Okay, now on the this eye socket is going to be dark. Okay, what we're going to do on the teeth is on the top edge of it, we're going to darken that in. Let me break the brush even smaller, so down to about 1 to 2%. And just the edge of the top of the teeth. Bottom of the teeth going to still be that lighter color. And just hit the tops of those teeth a little bit. All right, I think that's good. That's what we wanted. Maybe around the nose here. This is quite a big space here. We don't want that really bright to take up so much space. All right, I think that's good enough. Now what we can do, like we did with the tusks, go to the white color again. And then let me see what layer I'm on. I'm going to do the same layer that I did the white streaks on the tusks. I'm going to go back to that layer again. And standard Inker Streamliner, I'm going to put some little details on the skeleton here. I'm on the top of the teeth. I'm going to put some little light colored lines. All right, and maybe around the nose here too. That's good. And then here, that's good. Just a little shine on the tops of the teeth here. That's good. And I think that's about it. Yeah. Yeah, that looks fine. All right, it's coming together good. I'm liking it. Let's work on these eyes more. What I want to do is let's put some, I'm going to go on top where we did that purple around the teeth here. We're going to use that same layer because it's going to be separated up here in the eyes. And I want to make this a pure white. We had a kind of a bluish white, but I want a more pure white. And we're going to stay on the soft brush here. And we're going to create some eye shine. And just keep hitting it. Remember, we're on a lower opacity, so you need to keep hitting it to make it darker. And we're just going to kind of put in some eye shine right there. Okay, on that one, and then right there, and then over here. Yeah, I like it. See, that looks nice. Okay, let's go to this inker streamliner and let's put maybe some detail right there. Right there. Maybe like that. That's good. Okay, in these eyes here, we're going to have some, let me see what layer that was on. So that's right here. I want to do it on top of everything. So I'm going to create a new layer on top of the orange part that was in the eyes, because I want this, what I'm fixing to do, to be on top of that. So what we're going to do is maybe take this light orange here and then maybe go to classic and then lighten it up even more. And I'm going to do this soft brush. And we're going to have kind of a, let me make the brush a little bit bigger, so back up to about 3%. We're going to have this white part kind of right there. And it's going to go, I need to make it smaller. Take it down to 2. It's kind of a squiggly snake coming out of that bright part right there. Okay, the same thing we're going to do right here. We're going to make a bright spot right there, and then maybe one right there. So one right there. Actually, we can do one up here too. All right, and then make the brush smaller, 1 to 2%, and then we're going to do a squiggly over here too. So it just looks like it's coming out of that. And it's going to break the eye up some. Over here, we don't see much of it, so I'm just going to do like a little dot there and like a little line right there. You know, actually, I'm going to go to the inker streamliner, take the opacity way up on it, and I'm going to do like a little light edge right here at the bottom. And maybe over here too. Right on the edge of the bottom of that eye. And then here we can do one too. Yeah, I like that. Okay, and then I'm going to make this really light. So it's going to be like a really, really creamsicle white color. And we're going to do probably the soft brush again. We're going to do the middle of this circle more lighter color. So about like that. And the same thing over here. I'm not sure we needed too much right there, but yeah, that's basically it. So, okay. Coming along nicely. Let me see. What else do we got left? We don't have much left. I guess these yellow pearl looking things. So click on it, take your base color. I don't really have a darker color, so we can just take this beige color for our darker color, and then make sure we're on the right layer for where those things are, so they're right there. And make a layer on top. You're going to clip it. Okay, we're going to go to our soft brush, and we're going to darken in the edge bottom of these. Take the, maybe a little bit darker. We'll go to the classic, and I'm going to slide this maybe a little bit darker and a little bit more saturated. So what this is going to do is kind of going to give it a rounded shape. So kind of up the right side and across the bottom. Kind of darken that in a little bit. And that one we can just darken all in. Okay, just that's good. We're going to do the same thing on the other ones. And on this side, we're going to do the left bottom. All right, and this one, just the bottom. All right, that's good. And then what we're going to do is take this base color again, the yellow, and we're going to lighten it up. So go all the way up, and I might want to even lighter than that. So I want to slide this over to the left a little bit. And then what we're going to do is hit the top of them. So the opposite of what we did on the good. Where are we at? Here we are. Good. And the tops of these. Yeah, I like it. Okay, so I'm kind of getting a bit of 3D effect there. Okay, and now I think the last thing we got are these hairy parts. So the eyebrows, the kind of a mustache looking thing, and then this section right here, and maybe these two down here. So we're not going to do much of these. We're gonna take this base color and make sure we're on the right layer where they're at. So they're right here. And I think the darker parts were right here. So we're just gonna go on that layer. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna do a kind of a brownish color. I don't know if I gave you that color. Yeah, I did. I got some browns in here. So just pick one of these darker brown colors. Maybe not the darkest one, maybe this one right here. And then we're going to go to the inker streamliner, and we're just going to make some lines. Okay, and what we want, actually, you know what? Before we do that, let's go ahead and just put in the general shadows right now. So again, go to that darker brown, the darkest one you got, and go to the soft brush. And yeah, we're on that same layer that we darkened in the beige colors. And what you want to do is make the brush bigger. The top part of this is make it darker. And then on this one, the edge. So about like that. Same thing over here, the bottom. That's good. And these down here, the bottom of those. Okay. Same thing right there. And then the eyebrows, the bottoms of those. Like that, and right here. Just like that. That's good. Now what we're going to do is going to go to that lighter brown color and then the streamlined inker. And then we're going to start doing these lines. So it's going to be kind of like hair. So I'm just going to start doing some thin to thick as we go to the top. Like that. And then down here, thin to thick to the bottom. Just like that. Same thing over here. That's good. Same thing up here. Just like that. Actually, probably make some more in here. Okay, over here, same thing. Just like it was hair. That's good. And then up here, so you want to kind of follow. Just follow these curves. Just like that. And the same thing over here. So just remember that all of the colors and the brushes and everything that you need will be in the description below where you can go download it. It's on Gumroad. I set it as a $0 download, so it's all for free. Although I set it up where you could tip if you'd like. Don't feel obligated, but it would be nice. All right, that's good. Let's do the darker color, and we're gonna put in some more lines that are just a little bit darker, and just kind of follow in the same direction as you did the other ones. Remember, it's supposed to be hair, so if they cross over, it's good. Okay. Maybe here, do a few. Here, do a few, just to make a different color. Okay. And then we're going to do a really lighter one. So maybe that color, but even lighter, actually. So we're going to go to classic. I'm going to lighten that up. In the same brush, the streamliner inker, I'm going to put in some light colors. Do those kind of small. Just like that. Put in some here. We don't want as many as we did the other ones. And then some over here. Okay, guys, that's going to do it. Look at that. Congratulations. You did an amazing artwork. This was a very long tutorial. I had to break it up into two parts, which is not normal for me. But I'd like to know your opinion of what you thought of this. Actually, one more thing I think that I'd like to do is before we go off with this is click on this really light blue color and go back to our soft brush and let's do in some highlights. So on the blue color, do another one on top. And then we're on the soft brush, yes, make it a little bit bigger. And then kind of the nose, and hit that with some lighter color. Maybe right there and there. Where else might there be some light? Maybe here. You can just kind of put where the lighter colors are. You go lighter, smaller brush here and right across the middle here. Cheek. Tops. That's good enough. All right. So, like I was saying, this is a little bit longer than I normally do, but I would really like to hear what your opinion is on this. I know most of the tutorials are kind of been geared for easy or things that were a little bit easier for beginners, but this one was a little bit more advanced than we normally do. So, I'd like to kind of get your opinion on what you thought about it. So that's going to be it. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm sorry that it went on for so long, but I hope that you really create something really amazing with this. And I'd like to see what you made if you don't mind, if you put it on Instagram and tag it with Chamel Does Art, and I'll be able to take a look at that and comment on it. So with that, thank you so much. Like and subscribe, share with your friends. All of that stuff really helps the channel out, and I would be eternally grateful. So with that, I will see you on the next one. Take care, guys.